friend Aaron, and we got a sweet adventure for you today. We are going to be going and checking out the elephants. What are we going to do?
We are going to check out a training session. So I'm not sure who's going to be involved. It's either going to be a teeth cleaning or maybe like a foot training. We don't know. So we're excited to figure it out.
All right, we're off. We're heading to the elephants.
All right, kids, we are taking you behind the scenes right now. So we're right next to the elephant, and we're kind of with a great team of people here and kind of prepping how this session's gonna go. But you're gonna see some cool things like the elephant getting teeth clean, and you're gonna...
Yeah, you'll meet Stephanie's getting her teeth cleaned.
Stephanie, okay.
Yes. Munier's right here, though.
Oh yeah, this one's just curious what's going on.
Yes.
So I just wanted y'all to see, with this being career day, this is kind of behind the scenes, prepping, getting ready to get these elephants going. We'll be right back with you. Hi, Stephers. All right, we're gonna get this started.
Yeah. And let me know whenever you want me to
open.
Good girl. So this is Stephanie. She is our 53-year-old female. Caleb is going to be doing her teeth cleaning today. About 10 or 15 years ago, her teeth started to decay from the inside out. Elephants get 6 sets of teeth in their lifetime, so she is on that 6th and final set. And one thing that helps her kind of keep in good body condition is that we are able to do some training with her to be able to clean out her teeth and clean out anything that could be bothering her in the holes in her gums that those teeth have now formed from being missing. And so one way that we're able to help her in our human care environment is to be able to shred her hay for her so that it helps her to be able to not have to chew and process her food. We kind of do that for her, so she just gets to enjoy it and swallow it. So we shred about 8 bales of hay a day because her and all of her friends get that shredded hay whenever she's with them. You can see her opening that big mouth to help Caleb out with the whole process. One of the main reason we're able to clean her teeth is all because of Stephanie. She is very good at training and very good at, she's very gentle with what's going on, but it is definitely something that she needs to have trust with. So we only have a few of our keepers do the teeth cleaning that have worked with her the longest and have built that trust up. So he's using that syringe kind of like a water pick to be able to use the water to push out any debris that's in those gums or in any places that he can't reach. And then he uses his hands to kind of get the more fine-tuned details of hay and grit out of those holes.
Good
You can
girl.
hear that whistle. That is called a bridge. So that is letting her know that she is doing everything exactly right. And some reward is going her way. Normally we use like biscuits or alfalfa cubes as a reward, but since we are cleaning out her teeth, we don't want to give her anything that's going to make her chew and have to get any more debris in the places we're trying to clean. So she gets some barbecue sauce or ketchup or ranch. I think today is barbecue sauce. We try to change it up for her so she's not getting the same reward every time, so it keeps it interesting and fun for her as well.
She really gets barbecue sauce?
Yep, that's barbecue sauce. Yeah. She's a Kansan. She's got to get that barbecue sauce.
Good girl.
So how old did you say?
She is 53, turning 54 this summer.
You said she's on her last set of teeth.
Yeah, she basically doesn't have any teeth anymore. They get those 6 sets, and her last one is pretty much non-existent at this point. I think there's just little bits of enamel left. So there are some holes in her gums from where those teeth used to be. And those are kind of as the gums fill those in, we just make sure that there's nothing getting stuck in those empty spaces. So as those gums kind of fill in those holes, we'll be able to do her teeth cleaning less and less. When it first started, they cleaned twice a day, and now we're down to every 3 days. They used to, yeah, when they first started, when she first started getting those holes.
Open. Good girl. Steady.
So I think we are one of the only zoos, or we're the only zoo that I know of that does this with our elephants. Like I said, that's totally because of Stephanie's temperament. She has a lot of trust in the keepers here and is able to,
Good girl. Open. Steady.
we're able to do such an invasive thing with her.
Good girl. Open. Steady.
But it's really cool that we're
Steady steppers.
kind of one of the only zoos that gets to do this.
Steady.
So
Open.
median life age of African elephants is in the upper 30s.
Open.
So she is
Good
definitely, I think she's tied for like the 3rd oldest African elephant in AZA zoos. So her being 53 is definitely on the upper end of
Steady.
that age range.
Steady steppers.
Whenever you hear elephants living to be in their 70s, those are Asian elephants that are a little bit smaller in stature, so they have a little bit longer of a life expectancy.
Girl. Open. Good girl.
The one that is right behind us right there is Zolani. She is, hold on, let me do my math for my ages. She's estimated to be 15?
That sounds right.
15 or 16? 16, I think.
Open.
She's estimated to be 15 or 16. Stephanie is Callie is our only elephant, our male, that was born in a zoo. So all of the other ages of our elephants are estimated just based off of what they looked like when they came in. So she is definitely rough estimations. But she is one of our pregnant females. Back there, we have 4 pregnant females currently.
Really?
Yes, yeah. So she is one of our ones that's closer to having the baby soon.
Good.
I'm one of the elephant care professionals. So my job is to take care of these animals, these magnificent animals. So we spend all of our day mostly cleaning up after them. They poop a lot, over a ton of poop each day that we clean up. And then we do a lot of raking and all of that fun stuff. But then the thing that makes it all worth it is we get to interact with them. For like our pregnant females, we do blood draws every single day with them right now so that we're able to track their hormones. So that's something that we get to work with. One of our more fun perks of the job is getting to do more of those elephant things. Like Caleb's with his teeth cleaning, and he's about to do some training with Stephanie, show you some of our basic behaviors. Airplane. Show some of the basic behaviors that we do with all of our elephants, and then we'll do some extra behaviors that Stephanie knows. Since she is older, she does know a lot more behaviors than our younger elephants. So she has more fun things that we do with her. She's looking to see if she missed any food on the ground. They spend 16 hours out of their day eating and looking for food, so they make sure they don't miss anything. They 1 to 3% of their body weight. So Stephanie is 7,000 pounds. So she's about 70 to 210 pounds of food every day.
Wow. Stephanie, open.
Yeah, it's a lot. So a lot of our job is cleaning up of all of that food waste.
Good girl. Stephanie, ears. All right, good girl.
So Caleb right now is going to go through our basic behaviors, and these are things to allow us to see all various parts of their body, see how they're moving throughout the day.
Good girl.
See how they're listening, all of that fun stuff to kind of give us a good basis on how they are doing
good girl, Steph,
that day, and how they are doing behaviorally.
Good girl. Reverse. Good girl. Good girl. Lean in. Good girl. Trunk.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good. So my name is Denise. I'm the coordinator of Wellbeing and Behavioral Husbandry here at the Sedgwick County Zoo, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the training we do here at the zoo. So like Erica said, Caleb is doing a training session with Stephanie.
Good girl.
And basically, when it comes to training
All right,
in
Stephanie,
zoological communities and your pets at home, we basically use a fancy term called operant conditioning, which basically means that behavior is determined by the consequences. And it's how an organism or an animal interacts with their environment on a daily basis. Most training that you do with your pets at home and in zoos and aquariums, we use the positive reinforcement-based method, which basically means that if an animal emits the behavior that we ask them for, we reinforce them with something that they like. When it comes to Stephanie and elephants here, usually that's a lot of snacks. So we use a lot of primary reinforcement with them, or things that they need to survive. Can be food, can be water, can be social interactions. And then a lot of times we'll also use secondary reinforcers or conditioned reinforcers, and those can be on an individual basis. And those are things that the animal really likes, but doesn't necessarily need to survive. So that it can be playing with different toys, it can be scratches, it can be different tactile reinforcements. It completely depends on the animal. Now,
come in line.
She does. So he's actually using what we call a target, and that's basically an extension of his hand.
Good girl, back.
And that helps to give her a little bit more communication.
Daddy.
So a lot of people ask us why we do training here at the zoo and why it's really necessary. It's necessary because not only does it help us to provide mental and physical stimulation for the animals, but it also helps us to provide them better care. A lot of the behaviors that we do train them are for daily husbandry and medical behaviors that you saw previously with Stephanie are very important for her daily well-being and her overall welfare here at the zoo.
Swing it. Good girl.
Anything that we can work with the animals to do voluntarily is less stressful for them and therefore better for everybody. So we use a lot of fundamental behaviors that we can use later on to train a lot of the complex behaviors that you saw Stephanie do with her teeth cleaning, and that also you see him doing now, and that a bit like Erica talked about, that includes voluntary vaccinations if they need any vaccinations, or involuntary blood draws.
Good girl.
Yeah.
Where's Stephers?
This is Olani, right? Yeah, she's picking up the crumbs. She is one of the pregnant ones, yes.
Good girl.
She's being very respectful of Stephanie because Stephanie's still the matriarch here, so she's.
All right, Stephanie, feet.
They do have a medical behavior. We do yearly TB testing with them, and that does involve them taking a solution in with their trunk and then kind of sticking it out into a bag. To make sure they're really healthy. It's something that we have to do on a yearly
Stephanie,
basis.
dance.
So it is a natural behavior that we can utilize.
All right, Steph. Well, it depends on the behavior. So if it's kind of an easier one, like ears or trunk or open, those ones are pretty quick to train. Some of the more invasive stuff we do, if it's like blood draws, injection training, rectal cleanouts and enemas, tethering, those are a little bit more invasive, so those do take time, and it totally depends on the personality of your elephants too. So like Stephanie here, a lot of her background is more of the exercise behaviors. When she was in the belt with Cinda, that was a lot of their training, which is great because her as a 53-year-old, she's in a lot better shape than most elephants her age. But when we started to do some of the more invasive things like, say like rectal clean out, she wasn't as comfy with that. And it's actually something that has, because we weren't consistent enough in that specific behavior, we've actually had restarted to kind of build that behavior back up for her. And basically most of the things that we do for them, it's all for their care and their welfare. So when we can do things like pill swallow, we can give them meds, they can swallow it on command without actually having to bite down and taste something really nasty, and it's good for their health. Or if we need to do an injection, we can do that, and it's a very positive experience for them. like some of the stuff that we've done with Steph, like say, like in the past she's had a colic before, doing those things like rectal clean outs, having her be comfy with that, and doing enemas helps her with her care, because when we do the enemas, she gets rehydrated from those things. So, and those exact behaviors is what we're training the rest of our elephants too.
So when she's like, when you're doing this training, how many hours a day is that something that you work on, or is it a couple times a week?
Yeah, it just depends on kind of like what our schedule is. Ideally, we try to get these guys trained maybe about once a week. It just depends on what we got going on. So like earlier today, we did a training session with Stephanie and Zuberi. We also did blood draws on Solani and Talia. That's primarily to track progesterone since they're pregnant. We track that because once that progesterone dips down the baseline, we know that we're pretty close to having baby on the ground. Mm-hmm.
And like Caleb said, you know, there is the science to training, but the relationship also has a big part to play. And the more relationship that the keepers and the trainers have with the animals, the more successful those sessions are. And especially with elephants in particular, we are an AZA accredited facility. And being an AZA accredited facility, we have certain standards that we have to maintain, especially when it comes to elephants. There are certain behaviors that we are required to train because they are needed to take the best possible care of our elephants in the evidence, unfortunately, that anything were to happen. So some of the behaviors that we do train that he spoke about, so rectal cleanouts and ultrasounds and tethering, those are all things that we're required to do as an AZA facility because they help us to take better care of our animals if an emergency were to happen.
A question I had was, I noticed with Stephanie, she doesn't have any of these tusks or whatever you call those.
Yeah.
Is that on purpose or that just happened at the time?
Yeah, so she naturally rubs down her tusk. So a lot of times when she eats, she rubs them on the bollards. So she naturally just keeps them down. She still has them. They're just extremely short. They're just hidden underneath that flap of skin called the sulcus. So she still has them. But you'll notice if you come to the zoo, we have an elephant named Arusi. She was born tuskless. It's a recessive genetic trait. So she will never have tusk. The rest of these guys do have them. Some of them have broken their tusk before. Like Zolani here, she's broken her left tusk a couple times. If it breaks down to the pulp, then we have to do what's called a pulpotomy. So that pulp is that bloodstream to that tusk. Their tusks are basically teeth. So in the pulpotomy, it's kind of like doing a cavity. We kind of drill it out, let that pressure out, and then cap it off. That just helps prevent any kind of infection. Because if they get infected in their tusk, then we got a lot more problems down the road with these guys. So
I got some questions coming in from the audience.
Yeah.
They want to know about you, bud. They want to know, how do you get into, like, how did you get into this? Such a cool job, and what's some maybe tips for some of our students?
Oh, that's a good question. This is something that I've wanted to do ever since I was 5 years old. I remember my mom asking me, what do I want to do when I grew up? And I just immediately said, I want to be a zookeeper. And then when I was in high school, I got into our teen volunteer program and started off as a volunteer over in the Veldt. I was a volunteer there for 8 years, and then I became a keeper over there for a couple years, and then I moved over here, and I've been over here at Elephants for the last 7 years. So for anyone that wants to be a zookeeper, work in the zoo field, my greatest advice is get in here and volunteer. If you're in high school, you can get into our ZAP program. That kind of allows you to kind of volunteer in different areas around the zoo. And then when you turn 18, you can be an official volunteer and get into our animal areas, or if you want to get into like vet med or commissary, horticulture, wherever. In this industry, this is very experience based. So it's a very tough industry to get into. So that's why I recommend coming out, and also working hard. That's pretty important too. and having a lot of passion. Just like with any other job, you're going to go through ups and downs. Even though we're so blessed to get to work with these guys, you're still going to have good days and bad days. So if you have that passion, if you really love doing this, it's going to help you kind of get through those bad days every time.
Awesome.
Especially if you got Stephanie here, she always makes me smile. So.
What about their personality? Do they each have their own kind of personality?
Oh yeah. So like take Stephanie here. She's really sweet, but you know, she's a little bit sassy. So I mean, just the other day she threw a stick at me. Didn't hit me with a stick or anything, but especially now that she's getting older, she kind of likes doing that a little bit more. You take an elephant like Zolani over here, she is like our little sentry. So if there's like some people that are kind of newer and she doesn't quite recognize them, she's going to be the first one up at the barrier, which is probably why she's over here, because we have you guys over here. And she's going to be like, hey, who are you guys? My name's Zolani. This is my space, just letting you know. So they all have different personalities. Talia, I don't know if you guys saw her earlier. She's the lowest on our totem pole in terms of our hierarchy of dominance. She's very independent. She can just be out by herself in an area and be totally fine. But once you get her by herself, sometimes she gets a little bit sassy like Stephanie. So they all have their own little personalities, and you know, when we train them, we have to keep that in mind as well. You know, when we train for different behaviors, one elephant might do really good at, say, like pill swallow, but another elephant might be really, really bad at it.
And now they really want to know a little bit about you, Denise. How'd you get into this too?
So I've been in the field for over 15 years. I have a degree in biology, and I did some volunteer work at my local aquarium. I did a couple internships, and then I spent a good majority of my career working with marine mammals before I made the transition back over to zoos to kind of work in behavior programs and welfare programs, and that's why I'm here at the Sedgwick County Zoo.
So one other question I had.
Yeah.
So you said 4 of them are pregnant.
Yes.
Do they just have one at a time, or how does that work?
Yeah. So most of the time it's just one at a time. They can twin, but that's pretty rare. That's only a 1 to 2% chance of them actually having twins. The Rosemont Gifford Zoo up in Syracuse, New York, they did have twins a couple years ago. So it is possible. We haven't seen anything on our elephants to indicate twins or anything like that. Oh yeah. Well, so all of us on the elephant team, these are the only animals we work with because they require so much work. So on our team we have, I think it's 12 people. So we have a zoological manager, and then we have 7 full-time keepers, and then 3 part-time keepers. So we have like 11 or 12. These guys, I mean, not only is it the training, the husbandry stuff like the teeth cleaning, you're also having to scoop a lot of poop. So we pick up over a ton of poop each day. We got some official calculations of how much we actually pick up per week, and I think it's around like 15 tons per day. So that's like their poop, their hay, any kind of like dirt or sand that we get in that mix. So it's a lot of heavy work. But it's not only just our team. I mean, we're working with all the teams around here in the zoo. So like we're working with Denise. She does a lot of our observations for Stephanie over here, which has been really helpful in determining how we can take better care of her since Stephanie's getting older in her age. We work a lot with our vet department. You know, same thing with Stephanie. We do like quality of life assessments on our animals, especially our geriatrics. That just gives us an opportunity to figure out how we can take better care of them. We're also working, you know, with other mammal departments here at the zoo, not only helping them, but last year we were in a little bit of a season where we were a little bit short-staffed, so we actually invited other people in the zoo to come and help us do all the cleaning with us. So even though we have our elephant team here, we're still working with all the teams here at the zoo to make sure that these guys are getting the best care possible.
All right, we got one question coming in. We'll call this the last question, but out of Junction City, what do you do in the case of severe weather?
That's a good question. If there's severe weather, we just give these guys access to the barn. Out in the wild, if they go through severe weather, I mean, they have to kind of deal with it. But you know, say we have some real bad storms or whatever, we give them access to the barn, so that way if they want to come in, they can.